friends, I'm Kenzie.
I'm Darren.
Welcome back to our channel.
We had so much fun filming part 1 of the Our Story series where we were talking about our friendship. Today, we are super excited to start filming part 2. Things are starting to heat up a little bit. We're gonna be talking about our dating season. And so get ready because we're gonna be sharing some great memories, some great stories, and you're not gonna wanna miss it. So we're gonna start right where we left off from our last video. In January, we were coming to about 8 months of being friends, and I was quite ready to ask her out, and I wasn't wanting to wait anymore, and so I just finally came to a point where I asked you on a first date. We are becoming more flirty, we are becoming more open to our feelings, and I just want to ask her out. And so I just went for it, and I was like, listen, I want to take you on a date. And so what I did was I just decided, you know, I would take her to a really fancy restaurant. I remember being super nervous. Were you nervous? Yeah.
That whole day, my friend and I were hanging out. We went to Target, and I was like talking her ear off the entire time. And she's like, "You're nervous?" I was like, "Yep." And so when I got in the car with Darren, I told him, so I'm either going to be completely silent in this car ride or I'm going to be talking the whole entire time. And I would talk to the entire time.
Which was good because I was so nervous and like not wanting to screw up this first date that I didn't know what to talk about, because this was our first time hanging out by ourselves. Like we said, we had really strong boundaries when we were friends to like make sure we were protecting our friendship. This was our first time hanging out just by ourselves. And so it was really nerve-wracking for me because I was like, oh, I don't know what to talk about, or what if I say the wrong thing, or what if this night doesn't go the way I thought, or what is she thinking of me? There was just so many things going through my head. So the fact that she was nervous, and when she gets nervous, she's just talking the whole time, kind of saved me a little bit. But do you remember us, we matched our outfits unintentionally?
Yes.
We have a picture, we both got ready for the date, but we didn't say what we were wearing. And when I go up to her dorm to pick her up, we're matching. We have legit like the same outfit on. It was so unintentional, we didn't plan it. And so it was really funny that happened.
We went out to the restaurant and I got pork chops. So that was super fun. I just remember asking him if he could cut my pork chops for me. And then we ended up driving to Reston and then also driving just in the Tacoma area and just talking in the car for an hour or so. So it was super sweet. And I remember just like kind of freaking out that we were alone, and I just wanted to stay alone with him for as long as I could. So it was really fun.
After the dinner, which was amazing, but after the dinner, I took her to Ruston, which is kind of a waterfront overlook. And we just sat and talked and chilled. And I just remember sitting there like, oh my gosh, I want to kiss her so bad. And I just wanted to just have this kiss happen. And it didn't. And I was kind of proud of myself for not. And did we like talk about the fact of like,
yeah, at the end of the date, I was like, so I was going to ask if you were going to try and kiss me. Like, I was surprised because I thought he would have kissed me, so I definitely brought it up.
But I think for me, I didn't want our first kiss to be on the first date, especially because it wasn't like an official, like we were dating. We just didn't want the night to end. We were having so much fun. This was our first time kind of just vibing together by ourselves. And yeah, but sadly the night had to end. And we had a lot of great conversation that night. And we had a really fun first date.
I have a funny story. When he came to pick me up from my dorm, my friend Michaela opened the door and she was like, "You better open her door." He tries to like grab me like with his arm like this.
You know, like how gentlemen do when they pull out the arm?
And I was too nervous. So I was like, I don't like that. Please don't do that. And he listened, but it was really silly.
Then I failed because I didn't open up her car door for you. I didn't open up the car door for you. And your friend yelled at me.
She did.
Said, "Oh, that's a red flag."
Yeah, I remember that. Okay.
It's just so funny how nervous I was for that date. Like, from getting ready to picking you up and like being on, I was so nervous, but also so excited at the same time because again, this was something we had been waiting for so long.
Yeah.
And then it finally happened. And that day was just like, I couldn't believe it was happening. So we went on our first date on January 17th. And just a week later on January 24th, I just kind of woke up and was like, I'm ready for Kenzie to be my girlfriend. And I want to ask her out today. And it was your mom's birthday that day. And I remember texting you, asking you for your mom's number so I can wish her a happy birthday. But I also know that family is really important to you. So I wanted to call your mom to wish her happy birthday, but also get permission to see if I could ask you out and have you be my girlfriend. Just to respect you and respect them, because again, I know family is really important. So I remember calling her mom and I was really nervous. I said, happy birthday. And also, I was curious if I could get your permission to ask out your daughter today. And I just remember her, she was really excited. And she said, of course. And I then started developing a plan of how I was going to ask you out that day. Do you remember what you were doing that day?
Yeah, so that day when he asked me out, I was actually hanging out with my mom for a little bit. And then I went back to our college dorms and was working on homework. And Darren had come in and said, I'm taking you out. But I'd already had plans with my best friend, so I was like, what do you mean? But then she's like, oh no, I can't do it anymore, so she canceled. But it was because it was planned the entire time that we would go out together and then that she would cancel.
So my plans with Kenzie for that night was I was going to take her to Alki because she had always told me how she wanted to go to Alki. If you're not familiar with what Alki Beach is, it's a beach in Seattle. And she wanted to go during the nighttime so we could just sit on the beach and like look at the stars. And so that was my plan. And I remember driving you there and you had no clue where we were going.
Yeah, I had no clue where we were going. But once we got like on the highway or the freeway to Seattle, I knew, oh, he's taking me to Alki because I had mentioned the week before, take me to Alki. And he's like, I would never do that. And I was like, that's mean.
I wanted it to be a surprise, but she definitely knew halfway through the ride. She's like, oh, you're taking me to Alki, aren't you? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, so we got onto the beach, and then Darren had asked me to be his girlfriend officially. He's like, will you be my girlfriend? There was a little bit of fear, like saying yes right away, just because I don't think I was expecting for him to ask me that soon. So I was like, yeah, I will. And then there was like peace from that, and we were sitting down. And once I like felt like the Lord give me peace and we were like talking about how it's like right and it's right for us right now, the stars had come out. And so stars are really meaningful to us. He actually gave me this star ring. Yeah, so he gave this star ring to me later on in our dating relationship. So it's just super special to the both of us.
There was a little hesitation, and I think it was coming from a place of fear. But after we were talking, just making sure, I think for us, we wanted to be careful with the steps we were taking, the decisions we were making, just to protect our friendship because we connected very well very quickly.
Yeah.
And we didn't want that to be ruined just because of some quick steps or some unthought out steps. And so the conversation we had that night when I asked her out was really, really good of like, oh, is this the decision we really want to make for each other and for our friendship? And yeah, when we were talking, it was just like the coolest moment because right when we both were feeling a lot of peace and confidence about it, the clouds in the sky cleared up, a whole sky full of stars.
Yeah.
And again, just really, really cool. It kind of gave me chills when that happened. And then I just remember you on the car ride home just being so excited, smiling a lot. I remember holding your hand on the car ride and you just made this kind of like the surprise face, shocked face. It was just an amazing night. So the next memory that we're going to share is our first kiss. And it happened the day after Valentine's Day, but I had originally planned it for it to be Valentine's Day itself. We were going down to Portland to watch one of my friends play college basketball. And so I was like, well, if we're going to go down there, might as well take you down there for the day and spend the day in Portland on Valentine's Day during our first Valentine's Day. And remember what I told you?
Yeah, I do.
I told her, I'm not going to kiss you on Valentine's Day because I'm not that cheesy and you're allergic to cheese. And so she went into that day assuming that I wasn't going to kiss her, but I had this whole master plan because I love surprising her and catching her off guard that I was going to kiss her in Portland. I had this plan of kissing her on one of the bridges in Portland. And when we got to Portland, we were just hanging around the city and then we started walking around. We got closer to the bridge and we get onto the bridge, and I go lean in for a kiss, and I feel her lean away, and I was like a little caught off by it. I was like, oh, is it too soon to kiss her? I was a little nervous. What was going on? What was going on from your perspective?
Yeah, so I remember I just wasn't expecting it, and then all of a sudden I see him coming towards me, so I kind of freaked out, like, I was just really nervous to get that first kiss, like, happening, so because I wasn't expecting it, I was like, The night that we got back home from from Oregon, Darren was texting my best friend, my roommate, the entire time, and was saying he was so mad that I didn't kiss him back, and he was just very upset. I could tell he was bitter. So she told me when I got home, you better kiss this boy tomorrow or I'm not going to be your friend anymore. Like, she was like...
Her friends had my back.
You better kiss him. And I'm like, I know I should have kissed him, but I was too scared and I was just insecure. And so I was like, let's plan this whole thing. So I decided to take him out to this lookout over in Washington in the Bonnie Lake area, where you could see like the whole city and all the lights. And so we get there. He knows what's happening.
Yeah, about 5 minutes into the car ride, I kind of knew what was happening. I'm like, oh, she's going to take me somewhere and we're going to kiss.
Yeah. So I took him out in the dark because I feel more comfortable when it's dark out.
And it's more
It's
more romantic
with the stars. So I'm like, it's great. And so we get there, we walk out onto the field, and we were dancing to our favorite song called In Case You Didn't Know. And then I went towards him, and then I tried kissing him, but his hat was on, so I like hit my head. Yeah. And then I said, I'm a bad kisser, but I meant to say I'm a bad dancer. So he knew, and then...
But do you remember, so she originally tried to take me to a spot before that.
Yeah.
So there's this waterfall around the Bonnie Lake area that she had shown me that I had loved to go to because it was just very quiet. It was in nature. I'd go there to pray, read my Bible, and all this other stuff. And she takes me there, but when we got there was a lot of sketchy people there. And again, it was nighttime, so we're like, maybe not.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, but I know a spot.
Yeah.
And so I kind of hijacked her plans, and I took her to this spot that it had a great view that overlooked Bonnie Lake. It had, it was, night, so you could see all the stars. And we kissed a little bit more after that, and a little bit more after that, and maybe a little bit more after that. It was just amazing. And then after, we went to Sonic, and we just celebrated the night, and I got mozzarella sticks.
Yeah, we went to Sonic, and I got a burger, and he got mozzarella sticks, and the whole time we were at Sonic, he's like, I can't believe that happened. I'm like, I'm just glad it did. So, like, we're good to go. Like, we have our first kiss. It's not as scary anymore. Now, looking back at it, are you upset that we didn't have our first kiss on Valentine's Day?
No, not at all. I think part of me was, I love to surprise her. And it's in my DNA. I just love surprising her with anything that I do. And I think I kind of went overboard trying to surprise her in Portland because she hates getting caught off guard. She hates surprises, but she also enjoys them. But I think this one was a little bit too intimidating for her. So I wasn't upset about her not kissing me in Portland. I was totally okay with it. Maybe a little bitter because it did take a lot of planning and stuff, but you get over that type of stuff. So our next milestone moment that comes in our relationship is our first I love yous. My I love you came first, and it came from a moment in our relationship where we're kind of at a low. We were about 3 months or so into the relationship, and I think a lot of that low moment came from just the adjustment from coming from being friends for 8 months and having such strong boundaries to dating and trying to navigate like what is a dating relationship with us now and like the changes that come with that. And there was just something that had been off with us for a couple weeks, and we just weren't vibing at the time. And so I wanted to talk to her about it. And so I told her, can you just come talk to me? And we got into my car and we were just talking about kind of what was going on. And I remember it being a very passionate conversation. It wasn't like we were attacking each other. It came from like a position of like we really care for each other in this relationship. And we knew that there was going to be these early struggles that we needed to work through and these like just adjustment period. And so we just were having a really great conversation about like kind of what was going on. And my mindset was if things weren't going to kind of work out the way I thought, or the conversation wasn't going to work out the way I thought, maybe we should talk about like just going back to being friends and then maybe trying this again in the future. But through that very passionate conversation, I just kind of got very emotional, and I love this person so much. Just not because she's attractive, but because she's a genuinely good person. And I love spending time around her. And I think all that emotion boiled up really fast and was just like, it just came out. And I got really like emotional. I just blurted out, "I love you." And she kind of was like, "Wait, what? You said I love you?" And it was just like again, caught her off by surprise. But for me, it was just like, it's something I've always wanted to tell her, but I never knew when I was going to tell her. After 3 months of dating, I was definitely developing strong feelings to be able to say I love you. And so that's where it came from. And then after that came out, it's kind of like clarity came to both of us. It was like, oh, like that's how you really feel about me. And like, you really have that strong of feelings for me. These problems that we were fighting over for the last few weeks kind of seemed silly at that point. And we're like, oh, okay. Like we can move past whatever we were struggling with. And then your I love you came the next day.
So I was very starstruck when he had said I loved you. I'm like, no way he said that. It was like just out of nowhere. And so I was super shocked. And so I didn't say it back right away. Just because I didn't want to say it because he just said it. Like I wanted it to come.
I think that was the right thing, yeah.
I wanted it to come from like a place where it was like more well thought out, and like the way that I told him I loved him. And so I ended up writing a really special note towards Darren and handing it to him when we went out to Reston. Obviously, you can see a theme.
we loved
Reston.
Yeah.
And so I handed him the letter, and he started reading it, and then he started to cry super hard. And I remember that made me cry because like being able to see a man be so emotional and like upfront about his feelings gave me a lot of comfort and peace, knowing like this is who I believe I'll develop a really strong relationship with, and let's pray that it ends in marriage. And so, the Lord just really gave me peace about saying I love you to Darren. And how did you feel reading the letter I wrote you?
It was just such a strong night because like it was very smart of you to bring me to that spot, because that's the spot where we first hung out as the first interaction, or at least first time we hung out together. That's the spot where we had our first date. That's then the spot you told me that you loved me. And so I think considering the history of that place, it just like made it even better. Wanting to, no matter what struggles we were going through, wanting to persevere through those struggles with you. I think that was the very first like pivotal moment for me to like ever go through something where love got me through it. And I think the cherry on top was us saying that we loved each other, because I think those were honest feelings, those were genuine feelings, and it wasn't coming, like you said, out of a spot of like pressure of like just because I said it, you had to say it. I loved how you kind of like took control of it and said, I'm not quite ready to tell you the same night I said I love you, but you said the next day, more of it in the environment that you wanted to say it. And that's just really special.
So I'm guessing you guys are wondering what made us decide to move from Washington to Hawaii. So in September of 2020, my parents decided to move. I was talking to my mom, like, let's try and figure out a way to like convince Darren to move here. And she was like, of course,
So I remember your dad taking me out to lunch, and we had a conversation around, him just welcoming me to the idea of like, oh, if I wanted to move to Hawaii with them, that we could. And that was really awesome. And I was like, that's so cool that I have this opportunity to move to Hawaii. But at that time, I had actually gotten out of the internship and was going to start pursuing a career in education. And so I had transferred schools to start that path. And so I just told him, you know what, maybe we should wait a few years after I get my career started, and then Kenzie and I can come move out. In December of 2020, they had us come out for Christmas to spend Christmas with them. I know, Kenzie, it was really hard for you to spend that time away from them. So it was really awesome experience. You had never been away from your family for that long, right?
No.
No. So yeah, and it was really hard for her. So We had the best time in Hawaii when we came to visit for that Christmas. We were only here for a couple days, and we were already talking about like, oh, how soon could we make this happen? Versus a couple of years, how soon could we like actually make living in Hawaii a reality? Because we were just so blown away with the experience. And then also just like knowing that she struggles being away from her family. I wanted to make sure that she'd be close with her family. And so I instantly started looking at transferring schools again, and found a school to transfer to here that offered a really clear and quick pathway into becoming a teacher. And so I was like, you know what, I can do this if we really want. And so we talked about it a lot while we were here. And we're like, yeah, we should really make this happen. And so the last step to that was having that conversation with my parents about the idea of me moving to Hawaii. And so I just remember coming back from the trip from Hawaii and having that conversation with my parents and just saying, hey, like, this is what Kenzie and I are thinking, and we really want to try to move to Hawaii by, what was it?
Yeah, so he got back from his trip in December and then told his parents, oh, I'm trying to move to Hawaii by May.
Oh, May, yeah. So I just told my parents that I'm trying to move to Hawaii by May of 2021, which was only about 5 or 6 months from the trip that we had took just to visit. So it was a very quick turnaround. And I thought my parents were going to be very like, that's too soon, you guys need to wait. But it was quite the opposite. They were very, very supportive. There was really no pushback from them. Maybe internally they're like, maybe you should wait, but externally they're very supportive. They said, no, this is probably what you need. You need those new opportunities. You need to go out there. We can see how you're excited about this. So I'm really thankful for how supportive and just willing they were, or open they were to this idea. And so once I got that okay from them and they were on board with it, we just started rapid planning. We were like, let's get to Hawaii as soon as we can. And so we did everything we did. She was trying to finish out her year in the internship, and I was finishing out the year of my school in Washington. And so our plan was to transfer before or during that summer before the next school year started. And it happened. We ended up moving to Hawaii, and it's just such a cool story, and still can't believe it happened today. Like, I just wake up every day like, we live here. It's insane. And it's a long story, but we'll definitely share more of that story with you guys. So those are kind of our favorite memories from our dating time. Obviously, we have more, but those are kind of the top tier memories that we have, or at least biggest milestone moments within our dating season. So our dating season is one that I look back on and I'm just really proud of. I'm really thankful for the memories. I think we had a lot of fun. We learned a lot of great things that kind of shaped our relationship to help us out in our marriage. But we just shared our milestone moments, some of the big things that happened during that time, and also just some of the big important takeaways or lessons that we learned through those years. But next, we are going to share when I popped the question and she became my fiance. And so we're going to share that in the next part of this 4-part series. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But Kenzie, what should they do?
You guys should definitely comment, like, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell down below to get notified when our next video comes out.
Y'all make sure you do that. Okay, guys.
Bye, friends.